Good morning and Shabbat Shalom from Israel. It's been a pretty interesting week. Excuse me for my cough. President Trump has made a very interesting summary of what he plans to do. He plans to purchase Gaza, turn it into a resort area. And to do this, he wants to remove the residents of Gaza temporarily, I suppose, maybe permanently, and then return them when the construction is complete. But Gaza will be a protectorate of the United States of America, which means that technically all the residents of Gaza could apply and receive American citizenship and go anywhere in the world. What do I think of it? It's a good idea, but Wilbur ain't going to fly. You see, President Trump is a businessman. And he approaches politics like a businessman would, thinking that, well, business world. You make deals. Sometimes you make deals with strange bedfellows that you don't agree with, but you make deals with them in order to come out to a profitable result or profitable agreement or compromise, whatever you want to call it. Wilbur ain't going to find. It takes into consideration things that are totally foreign to President Trump, and that's organized religious fanaticism, armed and deadly. Now, we've seen this before with the Taliban. We've seen this before when we have armed in South America groups that we thought would be more easy to deal with, which in the end was a mistake. They used their arms to take over their countries and to send unlimited fentanyl and gangbangers into America. Well, we solved that by closing the border again, and that's good. And so it's logical to think that President Trump would do something similar in Gaza using the exact same logic that's gotten him so far. Well, it's not going to work in Gaza. It would work in Israel, perhaps with the PLO, who it controls a certain portion of the West Bank. But you see, unlike the PLO, Hamas, I believe they're not business. I remember my own experience when I was doing Overwatch over a man by the name of Mustafa Dadin, who we wanted to basically depose the PLO by organizing a group called in Hebrew it's Agudat Kfarim, which means it was basically the group of settlements who were pro-Israel into a military and a political organization. Well, Mustafa basically got killed, and our people, our intelligence organizations, didn't know what to do. They didn't want PLO. They didn't want Arafat. They didn't want anything. And so somebody came up with this really bright idea. They said, guys, there's a good guy by the name of Sheikh Tamimi, very pro-peace, very religious, and he has an organization, and they call it well, for whatever reason, Hamas. Let's support them. Let's arm them. Let's train them. And let's see if we can't get the PLO out of Gaza and them into Gaza, in charge of Gaza, to work with us, obviously, as Israelis, as very smart, intelligent Israelis, to force the PLO out of the governing positions in Gaza and to replace them. Well, they did just that. They ran the PLO out of Gaza, took over. Oh, and then something strange happened. They revealed their true colors as a pro-Taliban, absolute, total, complete, Orthodox Muslim extremist sect that wanted to kill every man, woman, child in Israel, and also to kill whatever's left of the PLO for being basically an organization that was godless. So, fast forward 20, 30, 40 years, and we found very simply that where most of the Arab nations did not have any sympathy for the PLO, all of them now have sympathy for Hamas. They're all arming Hamas. They're basically doing everything. And the PLO, okay, that's the West Bank now. They have a small portion of the West Bank that they govern called Ramallah, and in Hebron they have a small organized unit of PLO police. They're outnumbered at least 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 to 1 by the Hamas organizations in Israel and the West Bank, who are now basically beginning to kill us in an organized manner. And the Hamas function quite well in Lebanon. They're still there. The jihadists are still there. They're all still there. So let's say that President Trump says, I want you guys, Egypt and Jordan and everywhere else, to take in Palestinian refugees. You know, there were Palestinian refugees in Jordan in 1970, and the king, the father, the present king, basically didn't want them, and so he made war on them, and he had them backed up against the border with Israel. And he was eliminating them once and for all, except for a small problem. We, the Israelis, gave them safe conduct to Lebanon. Oh, yeah. Now, I fought them in Lebanon, and it's called the Litani action, the Shalom Galil action, and in different units that I can't mention here. And you can't really win against an idea. You see, Hamas is more than just a military organization being supplied with all forms of arms by other crazies. Hamas is crazy. They believe in world jihad, together with the various other crazy Muslim groups. Now, they, in their protocol, call for the complete destruction of Israel, to kill all of the men, to enslave all of the women, and to kill all of the children that they don't want to adopt and turn into Muslims. Okay, that's their charter. We saw what happened on the 7th of October. They went in, they killed men, women, and children. I know this. My son was there afterwards trying to identify the bodies. All the women were raped many, many times, sometimes in front of their children, in front of their family. And then they were killed, mercifully. Others were taken in for sale and for distribution to the Hamas fighters back in Gaza. We found babies that had been killed by placing them in microwave ovens, big ones, and cooked them. Many other things, even too gruesome to mention here, were seen and were reported and were documented. there's only one type of person or one type of group of people that do these things, and that's a group that came from basically the same area. And we've referred to it in Judaism as Amalek. Amalek is the complete distillation of all things that are evil, and they are an eternal enemy of Israel, of Judaism, and of Judaism's various subcultures that have grown out of the Jewish legal system. Hamas. There were two kings in Israel that were required to deal with Hamas. The first one was Shaul, who went to wipe out Hamas because God of Israel said you must kill them all, root, source, men, women, children, everything, because they're a disease and they'll just grow back. So Shaul went there and he started killing, and he just about had him up against the wall. And then he says, I'm going to take back some of the animals, some of the women, some of the children. We've done enough. So the prophet Samuel came down to him and said, Saul, what have you done? He said, what do you mean what I've done? I did what God told me. He said, no, you didn't do what God told you. And for that reason, God will take the kingdom away from you, and bring your successor. And you will live to see your successor rule Israel. And the successor was King David. King David's first thing was to go down there and wipe Amalek off the face of the earth. Of course, that gave him rest for many years during his kingdom. But you and I know that Amalek is much more than a race of people. Amalek is the evil in the heart of men that corrupts the soul. And so now we have the new uprising of Amalek and Hamas. And what they've done is, first of all, they were underestimated completely by the Israeli army, who allowed it to happen because of total incompetence. The thing about the Hamas is that they really just want to kill and rape every man, woman, and child and baby in Israel. And that's their credo. And that's everybody. That's the people in the streets that everybody's saying, oh, boo, 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 boo. These people in the streets are innocent. Like hell, they're innocent. They cheered when their soldiers were raping and killing, and they paraded them through the streets, the bodies. And some were still alive, and they allowed the people in the streets to gangbang them. That's Hamas. That will always be Hamas, because Hamas is Hamas. And we created it in our, I would say, our Jewish attempt to control and to use humanitarian rules. No, this is Middle East Trump. There are no humanitarian rules. Conquer, kill, rebuild. But don't think that anybody's going to take them, because nobody wants the scum. Nobody wants to have the scum in their countries, because they'll do the same thing in their countries that they tried to do to Israel. So nobody's going to take them. You can threaten, you can strut, you can scream, you can offer money. Nobody's going to take them, because nobody wants them, because they'll destroy anything that they touch. Okay, gang, that's my take on this week, and I love you all. Wish you all Shabbat Shalom. Be well, live long, prosper.